Here again, here we are, Brother Peter, with tidbits from the Word. We're going to do a little excerpt here, probably be about 15, 20 minutes, on the facts of the flood, from beginning to end, just the facts, that's all. Like if you were standing at the bow of the ship and going to the stern of the ship, the facts about the ship. While I have a book over here, the facts about one ship is about 25 pages. But we're going to use just the minor things about the flood. First thing is, the flood is a fact. It did happen. It was an act of God. And the reason it was an act of God was because the earth was given over to the lust of the flesh and the pride of life. And mankind had depraved himself to a place to where God couldn't stand it. So he brought a flood on. When did it begin? It began, listen, this is not Brother Peter's words. I get these words from many people who have studied and put this writing in Wilmington's Guide to the Bible as fact, as much as possible a human being can do. So, when did the flood begin? It began in November. The month is laminated by many people around the world as the Day of the Dead. Now, how long did the flood last? The flood did last. It lasted 371 days. And how do you know that? Well, the Bible's very clear about dates and whatever, and you can know. What may have triggered the flood is another big question. Now, God was the one that caused it, and so he could have used any manner of things. Well, many people believe that he used an earthquake to release vast pressure water reservoirs that are in the earth's mantle. The earth's mantle is full of water and steam, by the way. In Genesis 7:11, this may have blown immense amounts of dust skyward, which would then ignite the condensation and the precipitation of the watery canopy. Now, there was a watery canopy over the world. There's always been a watery canopy. God made that. And but it didn't, it's not proven that it didn't rain before the flood. There is a possibility it rained in areas before the flood. But perhaps never in the area where the people were that built the ark. And that's desert area. And so God's the one that controlled the whole thing. He put it all together. Was the flood worldwide? The word is yes. Because of the need for the ark. Because of the wide distribution of man before the flood. See Genesis 4:16. The Bible said the earth was covered all the way around. Let's take a look right here. Let's go back to Genesis 4:16. Let's try that out and see what we find right here. Genesis 3, Genesis 4:16. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. That was the first civilization. And Cain knew his wife. She conceived and bare Enoch. And he builded a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. And so we see that the earth was covered with people. And this is why God had to come and do what he did. Because of the composition made in 2 Peter 3:3 and 7. Because of the universal flood of traditions. Because of the marine fossils found on the mountains. Because of the many fossils in fish beds. because of the worldwide animal fossils and the graveyards, because of the evidence of recent water bodies in present desert areas, because of the evidence of a recent drastic rise in sea level, because of the evidence from the geologic column. And how big was the ark? Let's take a look. It was 450 feet long. I went to the ark up there in Tennessee a couple months ago. It's an amazing thing. You need to go visit it. And 75 feet wide and 45 feet high. That man has done an amazing job to copy what he believed the ark looked like. Now, his belief and my belief are a little bit different. But belief is only belief. It may not be fact. So, the largest ship ever built until 1884 AD. Nearly one half the length of the Queen Mary. Wow, can you imagine the Queen Mary being twice the size of the ark? See, a total animal population would not have exceeded 35,000 vertebrates. That's the little animals. The average size would be of as a sheep. And the modern train of 150 boxcars could carry this. The ark had carried a capacity of 520 boxcars, train boxcars. Wow. This is a little short excerpt just about the ark, put together by somebody in Wilmington's Guide to the Bible. And I'm using the privilege of translating it to you on Word, because this book is open to those who will learn, and those who will study, and those who will forward pass it on. And it says right here that the sheer volume of this book is virtually vital questions to be answered concerning the why, the who, and the what. And I like the where and the when, and the root of the matter. And it is given to us with it has nowhere does it say in the copyright that we cannot put it on or translate it or say it to anybody else or teach it, because it is dedicated. This is material relative a number of combined books in the study section thereof have taken the privilege of making a five-fold presentation. This book, the greatest accomplishment, for better or worse, for my life, is grateful, dedicated to the following: to my wonderful wife Sue and our beloved son Matthew, to the blessed memories of the two departed men of God, Paul Wilmington, my father, and Charles Ransom, Sue's father, to Velma and Gladys, their wives and their mothers, and to Dr. Jerry Falwell, my boss, pastor, and friend, and to all my students who have patiently endured my jokes, overlooking my weakness, absorbed by mental and acceptance by challenge to become scriptural giants. Note, honesty would force me to admit some mistakes will certainly be found in the many scripture references in this book. Although editors and I have sought to eliminate inconsistencies and errors, some will have kept in, for which I take full responsibility, and consider it the reader would render me a great service by calling my attention to such errors. Note on the charts: to obtain the maximum benefit from the illustration and charts, it suggests that they always the function as both preview and review of each chronological stage. For example, before reading the printed contents dealing with the creation stage, one should first allow the chart corresponding to this stage to give him a preview in a mental to be studied, material, to be studied. After this, the content itself can be read. Following this, the charts may be once again consulted to serve as a general review on this stage. This man right here was God's man. He was not worried about somebody studying and putting this on openly on the web, the World Wide Web. So we're on the World Wide Web with another man's material. Not mine by any means. I studied it. And that's what makes it available to me, and I'm making it available to you. And I'm telling you, you need to buy the book, Wilmington's Guide to the Bible. You need to buy the book. Find it, if you have to find it secondhand. But it's brand new on the shelf, always in the bookstore. And so it's there. You can find it. It's probably the best Bible help that I have in all of the books that I have on the Bible. This is one of the best helps and one of the most factual. And because it came through the Fowl services, we believe it to be properly put together and checked out by many men before it was put in print. And it's not just a little book now. It is a book of 1,000 pages, and right at 1,000 pages, and they're big pages, and the writing is normal size, and so a regular print. So we really have enjoyed it. By the way, I have been through this book from cover to cover, all the way studied. You can see over here, this is over here on page 853, and you see it marked up, and I've been in it, and I did it. I went through this book, and I did it all, and all the things that were pertinent to the studies that we were doing in the college that I was in. And so I was in Titus Baptist Seminary, and by the way, it's still there. It's P.O. Box 4651, LaGrange, Georgia, 30241. And it is a seminary that gives you all the whole Bible. You get the whole Bible before you graduate. And you're required to do many things that the Lord allowed me to skip. Many of those things that were of writing, because I have a menial education as far as writing goes, and as far as writing down things. So I because of my spelling. So I was exempt from some things. Well, we'll see you next time. Now, this was supposedly just a thing on the ark, and I stretched it out a little bit to 13 minutes. So we'll see you next time. Right. Bye-bye.